a team that we came up and represented ourselves. Call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
What's up, everybody? Hey! What's up, everybody?
Hey!
Okay, it's great. Great way to start the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by your boy, my boy, and everybody's boy, the reigning, defending, undisputed, somewhat heavyweight valedictorian of the world, AJ Johnson. And below us, we have the smoothest voice in sports casting, old scroll neck himself, Dylan JB Kearns.
Wow.
It's a beautiful May 18th evening here in the city. Episode number 30 about to be underway. We're going to be breaking down the AFC North and the schedules that await these teams in the 2022 season. AJ, how goes it?
It goes. I'm well. It's nice to be back on the show, on the cam. You know, I've had a stomach bug that just carried over into other bugs, and now those bugs have been cleared. Very buggy. But now I'm back, and I'm ready to whoop Dylan in some football talk and educate you in some football talk. And I'm sure Aaron's out there listening, and he's the X's and O's guys, but leave it to all the people on social media. He has the worst sports knowledge ever, so he could tune in and listen to me too.
Oh man, dude, we are getting it's. I love the where we're at right now in terms of like our social media presence, because now we're just starting to get that hate, that real hate, and that means we're doing something right.
If you you don't got haters, you ain't doing something right. That's all I have to. They never even explain it. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, and then they leave. Like, well, you didn't talk about anything. Like, say something. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, that's the stupidest take in the world. It's funny though. So we are 2 subscribers away from hitting 400 on our YouTube page. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now and make it happen. And if you have subscribed and you're watching this, please share the YouTube page so we can get those 2 more subscribers. I'd like to get that by the end of the show. So if we can make that happen, please, let's get there. And you talk about the hate that we receive on our YouTube channel. So we have great content on our YouTube channel, great content to watch. But if you don't just want to come for the content, you could come for the entertainment of the comments that come into our videos and join in if you want. By all means, join in and have some fun. But it gets pretty wild in the comment section of our YouTube page. Dylan, real quick, how goes it for you?
It goes. Similar to AJ. I like your wordage. I always say it goes, but there you go today with an it goes, but it goes. Having a lot of fun, getting excited to be back here on the show talking football. I love it. AFC North today, right? And I mean, that's a division where everybody's just dog after dog, and they're going to be fighting all year long. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for football.
As am I. We are going to get into the AFC North schedule predictions, or schedule talk in just a few moments, but we do have a few top stories that we're going to kind of rattle off. And it really all started with Jarvis Landry coming back home. And I talked to Aaron when he was making this graphic. Back in the Bayou probably has to be the easiest layup of a graphic title there is when Jarvis Landry returns to New Orleans, the state of Louisiana, where he played his college ball. He signed a 1-year, $6 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. This is a very interesting deal, in my opinion, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts when you saw this pop up. They just drafted Chris Olave. They could possibly get Michael Thomas back. It's looking good, right? And in Hey, well, I don't know, man. It's
Hey,
you
I'm
never
with Vinny. We got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
What? I've just, and I could have not, maybe I ain't seen it. I ain't put eyes on the Saints stories. I've been, focused on my Falcons. I feel like I did them wrong last year. Wasn't really up to date like I needed to be. What is going to hold Michael Thomas back from playing?
So that injury, it's taken him a while to come back from. There's a report the other day that said it's taken him a little while.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. I mean, really, I was going down the lines of you never know if he's going to be able to stay healthy and be there. I mean, I have not heard anything of him not being on track to return this coming season.
Okay.
But
per
kind of like last
talk, still a few hurdles for Michael Thomas.
Okay. But
Wow.
I mean, either way, that the Michael Thomas not playing last year kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. Like it kind of it hit hard and it kind of came out of nowhere. So what I was kind of leaning to was you just don't know what is going to end up happening there. But either way, Jarvis Landry is now added to the mix of wide receivers for Jameis Winston to throw to. Dylan, what were your thoughts on that move when it came across their screen?
I was clapping. I was sitting there, I read Twitter, I put my phone down, and I just started clapping. That's just a good signing. I mean, this guy is just, maybe he could play quarterback. But no, I mean, this guy's legit. He can do everything on a football field. And I know maybe he's a little bit washed up. Maybe he's a little bit older. But that's all right. He can still go out there and make plays. And they need wide receiver help. I mean, you can't be throwing to Kirkwood. You can't be throwing to the Harris kid. They can't be throwing to Callaway, who they hyped up in the preseason. You need a football player. And go get yourself a Jarvis Landry. He's a proven veteran you put on the outside. You got Olave. You got potentially Michael Thomas coming back. Don't know the Alvin Kamara situation. That's just a beautiful signing. Gives you another weapon for a team that needs weapons. I mean, it could be Jameis Winston under center coming back from ACL. That's the thought. Drew Brees threw his name out there a little bit a few times a few days ago. Don't believe that one. But, I think it's just a great signing because it gives you another veteran wide receiver in the room that's still pretty talented.
Yeah. I like this move a lot. And really, it gives Aaron a leg up on the competition now because of his Chris Olave hate and saying that he's not going to be that good. Well, now there's another mouth to feed in New Orleans that could take away targets for Chris Olave, which could help his take on that. But I think this is great for Jameis Winston now having three solid wide receivers. Well, we don't know what Chris Olave is going to end up becoming, but Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry alone are two solid wide receivers, good enough for Jameis Winston to move forward. AJ, are you afraid of that as a Falcons fan?
No, I'm not afraid at all. For two reasons. One, it's divisional play. Anything can happen. And two, despite what everyone thinks, even though this Falcons roster isn't beautiful, we wasn't going to be winning a ton of games anyway. So, what I got to be afraid of this year for? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We got nothing to lose any Sunday we step on the field. So it is what it is. We should be the ones everyone's afraid of for that.
Yeah. Let's go into the thing, Dylan, you kind of mentioned before, and it's Drew Brees. He is also in our top stories with this tweet here earlier this week. He said, despite speculation from media about my future this fall, I'm currently undecided. I may work for NBC. I may play football again. I may focus on business and philanthropy. I may train for the pickleball tour, senior golf tour, coach my kids, or all of the above. I'll let you know. This news just really made the world go crazy. And I don't know why. Dylan, you said this is just something you don't think is going to happen. What were your thoughts when this really blew up the media world?
He can't do all of the above, Vincent. You think he can be a pro football player and still do NBC and everything else above? No way. I mean, but yeah, I get what he's coming from. He is uncertain about the future, but I don't know. I think this guy, when he was done, he was done. And I mean, he battled injuries the last few years of his career. He really valued that family time, something he was looking forward to for a very long time. He was ready to be a family. He was ready to be a dad. He was playing with his kids and all the good stuff, and we saw how much of an inspiration he was there to them, and now he gets to be at home with them. I mean, I don't see a world where he comes back onto the football field. I mean, it would only kill was a little bit of a reputation there for him if he were to come back.
That's where I was going to send it to AJ for. Do you think if he comes back, he could risk tarnishing his career, or whatever he does after he comes back, it really just doesn't matter?
Absolutely, because everyone would say he should have stayed retired first off, because we were also saying that it was time for him to go as he was being finished. Everything he has done for that Saints organization, everything he's done for the NFL has been appreciated, but it was clearly time for to go. I mean, his body was broken. I remember his wife tweeted about all the injuries that he had and the fear that she had for him thinking about even playing another year of football because it just hurts so much to watch him be hurt so much. And I don't think he had the test of time like the Tom Brady's of the world. It's not everybody can, and that's okay, because despite only winning the one championship and falling short of a couple others, everyone still looks at you as one of the top 3 QBs basically of all time. So you've done everything you need to do. And with the NBC thing, for me, I think he needs to try his hand in the booth somewhere, because honestly, I didn't really like him in pre, post, and half. I thought he just didn't have that character. It's two different characters being in the booth and analyzing a game than it is talking and putting your opinions out there about what you're seeing on the field. And I don't think he had that in him. I think he was still in the locker room at heart, which made it hard for him to be objective and say the things he needed to say about a couple different players.
I liked him in his role in NBC. Well, but now NBC has, and we didn't put this in the top stories, but NBC has their GOAT awaiting for them with the news of Tom Brady signing that massive broadcasting deal when his career is up to join NBC.
Fox,
Maybe that's
that Fox?
It's Fox.
Is it Fox? I thought it was NBC.
Yeah.
Greg Olson got screwed, not Chris.
Oh yeah, it was Greg Olson that got screwed. Whatever. Nixon, I just said.
I don't blame you though, because I felt that because the news came one after the other, so I actually thought he was leaving because of that too, and it's not the same place. It still
connects because a lot of people in the broadcast world were upset about how much money Tom Brady is getting from Fox to be an analyst, and it's just so that's probably that was what my connection was to that. But either way, Drew Brees teasing us all. I don't buy it. None of us on the show is buying it. We've got 2 more stories to cover before we get into our AFC North chatter. Quarterbacks are getting signed. Cornerbacks are getting paid. It started off with Jair Alexander, the cornerback from the Green Bay Packers, signing a record-breaking extension for a cornerback, 4 years, $84 million to stay with the Green Bay Packers. The deal includes $31 million in 2022 and a defensive back record $30 million signing bonus. Huge move for the Packers and Jair Alexander. AJ, what does this move do for the Packers, and what does this move mean for the rest of the Packers roster? Because we talk about money all the time with the Packers and where it's going and who's getting paid and if they're going to be able to fill other roles because their money's tied up everywhere else. What are your thoughts on all that?
I mean, I think this was a move that had to be made. Jair Alexander was underrated coming in. People knew he was good, but they didn't realize how good he was absolutely going to be. And he changes the outlook of that Packers defense. It is noticeable when he's not on the field, and that's something that'll get you paid. If you can spot the hole, you can expose that hole because one of your best players is off the field, it's gonna pay dividends when he's back on the field. And after getting the guys that got in the draft to lock down the middle of the field, you had to make sure that outside is looking good. As we talk about it all the time, the wide receivers in the NFL are getting better and better. It's becoming more and more of a passing league, if that's even any more possible now. So you have to have a lockdown corner, and Jair Alexander is up there with the best of them. So I love this move by the Packers, and I think they're going to enjoy it for the next at least 3 years, if not all 4.
I'm glad you brought up the wide receiver thing because, I mean, if you think about it, Minnesota, they got some guy named Justin Jefferson who's kind of a big deal. And then Detroit invested heavily in the wide receiver position when they went out and traded up for Jamison Williams. They also got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, you got to cover in this league, and Jair Alexander is one of the best to do it. Dylan, did you have thoughts on this move?
They had the money to pay Tay.
That's what That's what I said. I said I was like they just took them, like, you know that SpongeBob meme of Patrick, and he's like, oh, why don't we take it from here and push it over there? We took Devontae Adams' money and we pushed it to Jair Alexander because we knew Devontae Adams didn't want to be there. They said they had the money to pay him, but Devontae Adams did not want to be there, so they just said, okay, we're just going to take that. Here you go, Jair Alexander. I don't think Alexander gets the extension if Adams is there, though. Be honest, I don't think this happens.
No,
if Adams.
Well, maybe not to that extent. They might have found another way to do it, get it to him at a later time. But
cut Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. There was one other cornerback deal though that happened today. The Philadelphia Eagles signed former Giants cornerback James Bradberry to a 1-year, $10 million deal, continuing this offseason onslaught of signings and moves for the Philadelphia Eagles, where they traded for A.J. Brown, locked him up. They brought in Hassan Reddick, James Bradberry, Jordan Davis. The Eagles are making moves. AJ making moves, and I put out a poll today, or not a poll. I put out an Instagram post asking which defense is the best in the NFC East. Now with James Bradberry with the Eagles, do the Eagles now take that crown, AJ?
Ooh, what a great conversation. I mean, so here's the thing. 2 years ago, you would have said the Commanders. They proved themselves to be frauds last year, and then they didn't handle their defense's secondary. No one ever. I mean, the Cowboys have Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs, but everywhere else there's a lot of holes. They lost Randy Gregory. I mean, the pickups they have, we don't know the pressure that they're going to be able to get on the quarterback or anything of that nature. The Giants messed up hugely in this situation, if you ask me. Not just because he wanted to be gone. I don't think there was anything they could do to keep him, but to just cut him. And then he goes in division. I was saying before the Philadelphia Eagles did half the things they did that I think they had an underrated defense. Now adding Bradberry after the pickups of Nakobe Dean, some of the other pieces, I do think they have the best unit, the best full defense in the NFC East.
Dylan?
Yeah, it was a good signing. I'm sure Giants fans are kind of furious that they didn't have the money to keep him around because he was great 2 years ago. He was good last year. But, I mean, this is a guy that you go right ahead to their secondary. They had to cut him because of cap issues. And that's why I talked about I didn't like the pick of that Wandale, the wide receiver kid they took. I didn't like the pick of that wide receiver. Wandale, see, I knew it was something Dale. Wandale Robinson. But go ahead. I mean, that's where I thought they should have gone defensive back. I know they got one later in the draft, but still, like, I knew Bradberry was going to be cut on the Eagles side. I mean, they get another one right there. They got great talent on that defense. That might be one of the best defenses in the NFC. I mean, they're stacked over there. So I like the move for Philadelphia, but I'm sure Giants fans are a little salty about that he goes to a division rival after being cut.
Yeah.
Something happened over there, man. I'm telling you. Something happened.
This was a tweet from Warren Sharp. The Giants have a larger dead cap hit of $11.7 million to have James Bradberry play for the Eagles. The Eagles are actually paying him, which is the $10 million. So the Giants are actually paying James Bradberry more to play for the Eagles than what the Eagles are paying. Yeah.
That's what happened in Moneyball. David Justice. You remember that scene? He's taking batting practice down there. That's why you're paying me so much. Oh, they're not paying you. The Yankees are paying half your salary. That's what they think of you.
Baseball. Moneyball.
Tough.
But yeah, it's a big. It is a big deal. Now he's lined up across from Darius Slay. It's gonna be very the old cliche. It's gonna be very interesting to see how that defense actually looks on the field.
You're better than that.
I do it just to grind the gears at this point because I'm well aware that it's
5 weeks left in the program. I can't take that right now, Vinny.
I mean, it's up to you. Okay, so what could I have said better, Dylan? We're putting you on the spot here.
We're gonna play knick-knack here.
Patty whack, give a dog a bone.
Yeah, we'll see. The Giants gave the Eagles a bone with Bradberry, but so he was playing opposite Darius Slay. They'll be fun to watch this year. Boom.
That just seems fun to watch this year. That just seems bland.
No, I mean just bring personality there. Bradberry opposite Slay. That'll be a great watch. Then lead in.
Yeah, there's some personality. All right, let's see if AJ can bring the personality here on our new social read featuring Kenny Pickett in a Steelers jersey.
Oh, baby, two hands got us. Okay, Kenny Steeler Pickett. Sac City Pod is representing with little baby hands down there. Hit us up at all those wonderful, wonderful, great social media platforms. You know the deal. At Sac City Pod on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Head on over there. Hit those loves. Hit those subscribes. Especially on YouTube. Hit that subscribe too. We're 2 lovely, wonderful fans away from 400 subscribers. What are you waiting on? Hit the button. It's right there, down there on the bottom right. Big, red, says subscribe. Do it. At Sac City Pod. Show us the love you know we deserve. Your boys are back in town.
Like a poet. That was my first ever jersey swap Photoshop thing that I've ever done in my entire life, by the way.
Really?
First ever jersey swap.
How hard was it?
That one was very easy because there were like, I found a picture to swap it with that was very easy. That one was easy, but the other ones I've tried were difficult. But jersey swap's just not my thing yet. But
okay.
Kenny Pickett's a Pittsburgh Steeler. Those baby hands are in the Steel City now. We are going to talk about them, talk about the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns. The dog pound the Browns. Hey, let's go.
Up in this
Let's
bitch.
go. This is the episode right here that we're going to talk. We're going to get into them right now. The Cincinnati Bengals and the schedules of them and the rest of the AFC North. The way we're going to break this down here, ladies and gentlemen, is we have our standings and we have predicted these teams' record throughout the season. We're going to go team by team, dive into these schedules, tell you what their records are going to be, and hopefully you guys don't hate us. Starting off with the Cincinnati Bengals, their schedule looks like this, featuring 3 primetime games, a Monday Night Football game against Cleveland, a Sunday Night Football game against Pittsburgh, and a big-time Monday Night Football game in Week 17 against the Buffalo Bills. We talked on the show, I believe it was Friday, one of Aaron's favorite matchups that he's looking forward to is that Week 2 game against the Dallas Cowboys, because that's like,
don't say.
I think that, but aside from him being a Cowboys fan, I think that is the true test, the first true test for this Bengals team. And Dylan, in your notes for your storylines, you put the words rinse and repeat. What does that mean, especially when we look at their schedule and moving forward for the Bengals?
You just got to win games. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, obviously, every single year you go into an NFL season, you want to win as many football games as possible and get to where you were. This team had 0 expectations last year going into this season. Second lowest Super Bowl odds going into last year. They danced their way to the Super Bowl. I mean, they were literally right there in the Super Bowl. And, I mean, they played great football down the stretch. They beat Kansas City in 2 close games. Great. I mean, that was huge for them. And I think that's one thing you got to look at for this team. Storylines for this year, you just got to find what you can to just forget about last year, realize you did have that success. Last year's gone. You got to wash that away and rinse it, all right? But you do got to repeat that success. That's one thing you got to have. You got to start winning those games. What you did last year, you can't dwell on, oh, we were there last year. Well, I think it's all right if we do things a little bit differently this year. No, what you got to do, it's a brand new football season. Still feel that success you had last year, but it's a brand new year, and you got to bring it because, I mean, a lot of people are doubting them this year too. A lot of people want to doubt the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm one of them, but I'm just telling you, I think that this is one of those times where you just got to forget about the greatness that happened last year. It was great to get that far. Their expectations were low. You ended up getting that far. But this year, I think, is a different game, and you got to find a way to just win football games the way you want to.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest storylines for the Cincinnati Bengals is, do they hang their hat on their offense, or are they going to try to hang their hat on their defense? Last year, their defense got them out of a lot of tough places, very opportunistic turnovers, really bearing down at the goal line a lot of times and making the requisite plays to get W's out. And the secondary was one of the things that we talked about their team needing help with, and they got that. I really like their signing or their pickup of Jackson Hill. I think he's going to be a good guy to help out with the Chidobe Awuzes and Eli Apples of the world. They listed him as a cornerback 1 again. Anyways, but then their offense last year, as prolific as it was, they did that without a solid offensive line. The pickups they got this year with Alex Kappa and Ted Karras, Lyle Collins, that line is substantially better in my opinion. And in theory, should allow Joe Mixon to have more room to run, should allow Joe Burrow more time to scramble out the pocket and make some of the stud plays we've seen him do ever since his days at LSU and in the NFL. So this is a team, despite the regression that people are expecting, despite how difficult it is to get back to a Super Bowl, this is a team that I expect to make a deep run in the playoffs because on paper, I know the game should still be played. I get that. But right now, on paper, this far out, this is a team that has the requisite pieces to get right back to at least the AFC Championship. And starting today, I think that's where they have to go with it.
Yeah, you look at their schedule. I mean, this is a tough schedule. Like, I mean, obviously, we talk about all the time how the the losing team in the Super Bowl has a very hard time history says that the losing team in the Super Bowl has a very hard time returning to the Super Bowl the following year. This schedule right here it's tough. I mean, you have Kansas City, Cleveland's supposed to be good, Tampa, Buffalo, Baltimore is going to come back strong. I mean, this is a tough schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals. And when you look at our standings here, Dylan, you have them at 8 and 9. That is
disrespectful.
That's tough. That's tough. So looking at the schedule, where does 8 and 9 come from? What makes you say they're going to have? Where's their 9 losses?
Okay, let me look at the schedule here, but I do want to say, I mean, everybody in this division has a tough schedule because they got to play the doghouses in those divisions I mentioned earlier. I mean, you got to play Pittsburgh, who Mike Tomlin, let's be honest, he still hasn't had a record under 500. I know it looks a little bit differently this year, but I mean, there's that. You have the Ravens coming back healthy, the Browns, who knows with Watson, but there's another spot there. But looking at this record, I mean, I think they split Pittsburgh, so go ahead and give 1. Dallas is going to be a tough game in week 2. There's 2 losses. They could beat the Jets. I think they could beat Miami. I think they get swept by Baltimore. I know they kicked Baltimore's ass twice, so I know that going in. But I think it's good. All right, you know what? Actually, they'll split that. We'll go 3 losses there at Baltimore. New Orleans, they'll win.
I just said which of their losses. I don't need wins. Just give me their losses.
Yeah. The Browns is 4. Browns is 4. Tennessee's 5. Kansas City is 6. Tampa Bay 7, New England, or rather Buffalo is 8, and then 1 other division game, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Pittsburgh, or whether it's Baltimore. I think that's 9.
Okay, I mean, so when I was thinking, yeah, Bengals fans don't like it. This is what we talked about, how we have been in a constant battle with Bengals fans, and I think your thing is what AJ said. When you look at that record, I think that is disrespectful. I think this team did get better. I think this team is still a playoff team. But I think when we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, we're not hating on them or saying that they're a bad team. Also, you said they'd get beat by the Tennessee Titans. That's no bueno because the Tennessee Titans are going to be but I think this team, they got better.
Like,
why do you think – I mean, obviously that record is much, much worse than what it was last year. Are you saying that it's more so on the teams that they're playing are better, or are you seeing problems with the Bengals that make you think that they're going to be 8 and 9?
See, every single week last year, I'll be honest, I doubted Joey Burrow until I saw him start winning playoff games. I was like, this guy's a freaking beast. He wins games. And that's the one thing that's just eating at me right now. It's the fire. No, it's the fire in me right now. Like, I'm speaking and I'm saying these things about the Bengals and the way I feel. And when I look at the outlook of this team, it's the damn freaking Joey Burrow's a winner, right? That's what's eating at me right now. The guy wins football games. He's a great quarterback. I think that schedule's very tough. They went all the way last year. It's hard for teams to do it. And I don't want to throw this narrative out there because they're a completely different team than the last 2 that I'm talking about here. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a lot of success in 2017. Everybody was hyping them up, top 5 in power rankings to start the season. They beat New England week 2. They're 1-1. They're looking pretty solid. Everyone's riding them. They fall apart. The Chicago Bears, 2018, worked their way 12-4 that year. Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky's playing good football. They get down to where they are. They end up losing the double doink game. Following year, they shit their pants. Every year we see something like this. Every year we do. And I'm not basing this off of anything else. I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater when it comes to the Bengals. I see a tough schedule. I see a team that had success last year that is not accustomed to success. And I think that's going to bite them in the tail this year. And I'll go back on this episode and I'll either own up to it right here on the show saying that guy that's speaking right now, this guy's an idiot. Or I'll be right where I believe I think I
right here at Dylan Kearns. But no, I think that when you look at their schedule and AJ, I'm gonna let you go on this real quick. But like when you look at their schedule, I think you and I both have one more loss. So Aaron and I are both highest on the Bengals here than both of you, and I think we've been the most negative to him. Well, Aaron is definitely on another level of negative toward him, but I think that I think the Bengals beat 1 or 2 of those big time matchups against a Buffalo or a Kansas City. Like they win one of those games. but I don't think they get that far out of that. I think they do split just about every game with every other divisional opponent. The biggest X factor here is, I think we're going to talk about the Browns in a second, but one of the biggest X factors is when Deshaun Watson plays and how he plays. Because if he's suspended the 8 weeks, then you can chalk that Browns game as a win for the Bengals. But if he's back in that week 8 and they're battling for a playoff spot in week 14, you could easily see the Browns sweeping Cincinnati.
Yeah. That's so my one less loss for you guys is basically a toss-up. Like, would I be surprised if they went 11-6? Of course not. You know, yeah. I think they split Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh is a team that's going to have to get it together later in the season, just like they did last year. Baltimore is the question mark. And what I mean by that is because we know how good they are, but do they face adversity again? You know, does the chemistry come back right? We know how much better Baltimore got this season. So Baltimore could be sweeping, but I don't want to be talking about the Bengals, a team we just saw do the improbable last year. Like, oh, that was really a flash in the pan. It was really a drop in the bucket. They are who they've been for the last 5 or 7 years, because that's just not true. This is a much better team and is a different makeup. These guys know how to win games. They have an explosive offense of youngsters. So these guys who got prime legs, fresh legs, and are out to prove things. T. Higgins went from the number 1 guy to possibly the number 2 guy. And of course, he loves Jamar Chase. Don't mean he ain't trying to show that he can be just as good as a Jamar Chase if he gets the opportunity. And that's a scary thing for any of these defenses to play. The Ravens defense, really good. The secondary of the Browns can be really good, but a lot of these guys have been injured since the moment they've been drafted to the Browns. But if those 2 secondaries are there, we're going to have some problems. You're going to see a bunch of, pun intended, dogfights. The only secondary that you really feel a little comfortable in is the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. And even to that, you have a front 7 to reckon with. So it's not that this is an easy division, but it's that all of these guys, the makeup of the AFC North has always been putting on some fights. And I think that's what you're going to see again this year. And we watched, last thing I'll say, and you can use the Chargers game because that's the easiest one to think about. We've watched these teams last season play up and down. We watched some games where they came out prolific and you're ready to give them the next 3 games on the schedule, and then they go ahead and drops the ball. It's an 18-week season. There's a lot of shit that's going to go wrong. There's a lot of shit that's going to go right. It's hard to go 13-3, 4. I know the numbers change. So we don't know exactly how it's all going to play out, but I'm pretty sure you can take a team that just left the Super Bowl last year with a shitty offensive line, being sacked 9 and 10 times a game, and got better to win a lot more games than 8.
Yeah, that's the thing. They followed. I think the Bengals followed the same path as what the Kansas City Chiefs did when they wanted to, after Patrick Mahomes got dummied by the Bucs and just stacked. What?
And look what happened to them for a little while. People started to fade away on the Chiefs.
Well, but what I'm saying though is the Chiefs are still a very good team. And I think that's what's going to end up happening with the Bengals. The reason why we've been at it with the Bengals is we want everybody to temper their expectations. They're not the be all end all,
world beaters,
but they're also a very good team and should be feared by most on the schedule. The one other thing I want to talk about.
Let me ask you guys this. Sorry, Vincent, not to cut you off. Do you truly believe with your heart, 100%, that the Cincinnati Bengals can be the best team in the AFC next year?
In the AFC?
Yeah.
In the AFC,
best
the AFC
team?
West.
The best team in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals.
No.
They can be top 3.
The best team in your division.
Wait, you said the AFC, not 3. The AFC North?
AFC entirely. They were the best team in the AFC last year. They got to the Super Bowl. Do you think this team can be the best team in the AFC?
I do believe they can get to the Super Bowl. I don't think at the end of the regular season they will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Yeah, I think people are once again sleeping on the Chiefs just because Tyreek Hill is gone. I'm sorry, the makeup that they have, and I know we're going to talk about them, they have pieces. The losses they got from Tyreek Hill leaving, they got back in some other people. So they can be top 3, in my opinion, for the Cincinnati Bengals. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think they could be the best team in the AFC North, and it'd be a battle for the best team in the AFC. That's how I see it as a whole. But again, you think about it, like their defense is what scares me. That secondary is what scares me. The pass rush, not so much. Like I think that they have some dogs on that D line. I think they have the all right linebackers, not basically outside that D-line, I'm a little nervous. But when you look at the big picture here, I think Cincinnati still has the core pieces and the right group to be able to make it happen and make a run for the top team in the AFC. But the team that we're going to get into, and I did put out a poll on Twitter for this one, was who the best quarterback is in this division. And I think a lot of people, are we sleeping on Lamar Jackson? Like, a lot of people have already kind of claimed that the best quarterback in the AFC North is Joe Burrow after that one season. But I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that before we move on.
That's tough.
Yeah. And I'll read the results here. I don't know if it is that tough. So So Deshaun Watson is leading at 31%, followed by Joe Burrow at 28%, followed by Lamar Jackson at 24%. So very, very close race between all of those. But Deshaun Watson, I put Pickett / Trubisky down there. They're at 17%. I knew that I had to do it just to be fair. Yeah, but it really is not enough. But yeah, what's your thoughts, AJ?
I definitely do think people are sleeping on Lamar Jackson. The Deshaun Watson part is interesting because Deshaun Watson is a top tier QB in this league. We just haven't seen him play in a year, you know. And the last time we did see him play, as great as he played, his team still went 4-12. And I know there's more to it than that. Don't get me wrong. I think the top two are between Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. What Joe Burrow has done in this league is to be respected, and he's on the way up. But we haven't seen a runner like Lamar Jackson since we've seen Michael Vick. The way the instincts, the intuition that Deshaun Watson has with the ball in his hand to get out of danger and still make a play downfield. I mean, I remember watching that man scramble 16 yards around, throw a dump off pass 4 yards to the right, and then let the guy take off for 25 for a touchdown. So I just think they have a couple different things that Joe Burrow doesn't have yet just from being in the NFL. Now, like Dylan said, Joe Burrow is just a winner. There are some guys who they figure a way out, and Joe Burrow is one of those people. He's a winner, and that puts him in the conversation. And it can be a conversation that will be had for this entire season, and you'll be talking about it differently next year. One thing will be the same. Mitchell Trubisky will be at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, or Kenny Pickett.
Or baby hands Pickett.
Leaves it there. But Dylan, I would assume you're right on board with what AJ said. So we do need to move on for time purposes. You're not on board. God.
Joe, sorry.
Are you on the show Friday? I
am. Joe Burrow's
We're going to break down the rest of the AFC North quarterbacks on Friday to determine who actually is the best. Aaron will be here. It'll be all just a great, good old fun. So tune in Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. AJ, you just made our Bengals fan probably leave because you just said that Joe Burrow is the third best quarterback.
I got him for 7 points, and then I lost one, but it's all good.
You did. Let's move on. The Pittsburgh Steelers team we were just talking about with Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky there. Their schedule looks like this. Dylan, you brought up the fact that everyone in the AFC North has a pretty tough schedule when they have to play these certain teams. They have to play the Bills. They have to play everybody in division twice. It's still a very tough division. We have our standings looking like this. This is new to the world of Mike Tomlin. 6-11, 6-11, 7-10. Though that is all new to the world of Mike Tomlin. And Dylan, you have your storyline. Is this going to be the hardest test for Mike Tomlin? Elaborate.
Yep, it is. This is going to be the hardest test for Mike Tomlin. We talk about his 500 record and how it's been over 500 or at it his entire coaching career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy is he wins football games as a head coach. I mean, Big Ben didn't have an arm half the year. I mean, that guy was just falling apart. We've seen him play with Landry Jones. We've seen him play with Michael Vick. We've seen him do whatever he needs to do to win football games. Without Le'Veon Bell, throw in a Fitzgerald Toussaint, throw in a James Conner, throw in a D'Angelo Williams, no Antonio Brown. That's all right. You got Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton. They find ways to win games, right? That's what he does. And they have a good defense, but this is going to be a hard test. He's got a rookie quarterback. He's got Mitchell Trubisky in the room. I like Najee Harris. I like the defense. This division's very, very hard, and he's going to get slapped in the face with that. This conference is hard. The division's hard. His schedule's hard. And when you have a quarterback that's not Big Ben, even Big Ben from last year, I think it would be a very hard test for Mike Tomlin. This is the year he goes under 500.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked. It's ridiculous. I looked at your records, and honestly, I'll say this: I would have been fine if y'all had losing records, but the losing records y'all have just hurts my heart. And I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm not crazy about them by any means. But I think last year was absolutely a harder test than what he's going up against this year. That O-line was atrocious. Big Ben tried to retire 6 years ago, decided to stick around and make everybody hate him for it. Like you said, he had a noodle arm last year. The fact that they were able to make it to the playoffs took not only luck, it took a Mike Tomlin being who he is. I think they have a much better roster now. With Mitchell Trubisky, yes, we know how I feel about him. But let's not forget, he did just spend a year off and learning without any pressure and figuring out how to do things the correct way. Kenny Pickett, who cares? But then they have weapons. That receiver room is crazy. Is crazy. And in an offense where you're going to have in a division where you're going to have to put up points, that's one thing I do believe they're going to be able to do. And maybe that secondary I talked about is not that great. But again, that front seven, that TJ Watt is still there. And it's Mike Tomlin. Hasn't had a losing season yet. I don't think this is the year it starts.
Yeah, it's tough to think that Mike Tomlin has a losing season like this. So let real quick, give me the wins for the Pittsburgh Steelers, AJ. Not like Dylan,
right,
where he goes game by game, but give me the wins.
He had to look.
They win at New England. They win at New York Jets. I think they beat Philadelphia. I think they beat New Orleans. There's your Cincinnati split. I know they beat Atlanta. I know they beat Carolina. I think they can beat. Vegas, and then I think they get the better of Cleveland the last week of the season.
Oof, man. It's hard to argue that. Like, I want to argue that because, like, I think on paper when you look at like splitting with Baltimore, I don't think they like in my when I broke this down, I have them beating New England, Cleveland, because I think Deshaun Watson's not there that first week. They beat the Jets, and then they go on a losing streak. They lose to the Bucks, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Saints, the Bengals, the Colts, and then they get their dub against your Atlanta Falcons. They get the dub against the Panthers, but I think that they have a hard time in this division, and that's where I really think the bulk of their losses come from, and I feel like that's where we're all at when you look at our AFC North standings here, being the difference of one game between myself, Dylan, and Aaron. But really going to be tough to watch Mike Tomlin. It's going to be fun. The way Dylan's going to say it, it's going to be fun to watch how Mike Tomlin can handle and battle through this adversity because we've seen it so many times before. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns schedule next, though, because this is the one where no one knows what to expect. I want to know from you guys, how did you judge and how did you go about deciding wins and losses for the Cleveland Browns? Dylan, I'll start with you with the uncertainty of a Deshaun Watson.
My headline, if I'm writing the paper here, what's with Watson? You can only go as far as your QB can go, honestly. I mean, this is, if you get Deshaun Watson for an entire season, I think this is absolutely a playoff team. I think the Cleveland Browns can make the playoffs easily with Deshaun Watson for an entire season. But it comes down to that. If he's not there, is Baker Mayfield going to start the games? Is he still on the roster? Is he still going to be on the roster come training camp? Is it going to be Jacoby Brissett? Is that the backup they signed?
Yep.
I think it was Brissett. Yeah, so Brissett, Brissett doesn't win a lot of football games. I mean, so it's tough. It's tough right here to dissect. Is it Deshaun Watson or is it not? If it's Deshaun Watson, this is a playoff team easily. But if not, I don't like the Cleveland Browns as much.
Yeah, I put my record together, I want to say, as if Deshaun Watson was playing. My storyline actually is it a trap to once again take these guys as a Super Bowl favorite, as a late playoff team favorite? You know, because as great as Deshaun Watson is, as better as he makes players around him, damn, the Browns going brown, ain't they? There's going to be something, right? The stink around the Browns, it does smell around the dog pound every now and then. Deshaun Watson may make this offense great. I love the Amari Cooper signing. I love David Bell as a pickup. I think those are two great receivers for him. Donovan Peoples-Jones like to show up here and there. But sometimes this defense can let things get away from him, you know? And like there's times we've seen in the season where really good teams have a really bad week and they just don't look like themselves. It's a long, grueling season. Yeah. And so with the AFC North, I think you're going to be in some fights. And all it takes is Mike Tomlin being gritty at the end, 5 yards out, and doing something sneaky and getting a touchdown in the last second for you to have a different loss that you didn't think was going to happen in your division. That's kind of where I went with it.
I actually do have on my record, I have them beating the Browns in week 18. Because I think when you look at this, I have that week 18 just screams a Browns loss. It's just one of those things that just feel like a Browns loss. I have them at 9-8, and really it's because most of those 8 losses do come from when I believe Deshaun Watson is not there. Dylan, you have them at 10-7. AJ, you have them at 10. I mean, we're all pretty much in the same boat for the Cleveland Browns. It all hinders on Deshaun Watson.
Let me tell you about that week 18. There's 2 reasons you and I feel that Pittsburgh is going to win. Either the Browns have already made the playoffs and they don't need their players in, or Pittsburgh needs that W and Mike Tomlin ain't going out like that. That's what week 18 looks like to me for that game. It used to be the Bengals and the Steelers. Now, it's Cleveland and the Steelers. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100. This division is like with a healthy Deshaun Watson, and although the Pittsburgh is the weakest, the Kenny Babyhands Pickett and Mitch Trubisky the other way. Like, I think Mitch Trubisky could be that guy and make this division and round out the division perfectly. But with Kenny Pickett there, they invested in him, and there's no shot Mitch Trubisky continues to be the quarterback. But Deshaun Watson, that's it right there. I don't think Baker Mayfield I don't think Baker Mayfield, if Baker Mayfield's the quarterback for the first 8 weeks of the season, how many games do they win? AJ.
They beat Carolina.
Yep.
They beat Atlanta.
Yep.
Actually, I think they could still beat Pittsburgh that week. It's early in the season with what they're going through. So Carolina, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, New England. I can give them 4 of those wins.
Okay, that's not bad.
At the very least,
if you're the Cleveland Browns and you're without Deshaun Watson for those first 8 weeks and you get 4 dubs, I would gladly take that. I don't think that they.
Real quick, let's not. We've had our fun with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is still a starting caliber quarterback in this NFL. Yeah. Baker Mayfield should have been shut down by week 10 or 12 last season. He played through some BS. He played through a very hurt body. I don't even think we know how banged up he really was. And I'm not saying that would have made them the top of the division or anything of that nature, but it wouldn't have looked as bad as it really did. And that's kind of the thing. We have our fun in season, but we're going into a new year. People are healthy. Mentalities are different. I'm putting a slight amount of respect back on Baker's name.
Ugh, gross.
Right? Even after I said it out loud, I was like, ew.
It's still gross. I mean, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, they can beat Carolina with Baker. They can beat Atlanta with Baker.
One of these days when we have time, I'm diving in on Baker. I'm just furious at this point.
Why? What? Okay, Friday. Save it for Friday. So
you're one that believes in the guy.
You believe in Baker Mayfield?
No.
Yes.
You are Bailey. That's all I got to say. We'll round it out with the Baltimore Ravens. Bailey is the biggest Baker Mayfield lover, and then out of everybody that anybody that I know, and based off of your information that you're going to be providing, I would assume you and Bailey are going to be jockeying for position on who's going to be the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. Friday's show. We'll save it for Friday's show live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Belly Up Sports TV. Baltimore Ravens, the final team. Their schedule looks like this. Tough, again, matchups here. We're all expecting the Baltimore Ravens. Out of everyone in the AFC North, they probably have the easiest schedule, obviously, because they had that last place finish last year in that division. This team, by all of our standards here, they bounce back right here. I mean, Aaron 12-5, AJ 11-6, Dylan 11-6, myself 12-5. This is a team that we're expecting to bounce back, right, AJ?
Oh, 100%. 100%. This team was one of the best rosters in the NFL even last season, and they just got ravaged by injuries. We're talking at one point they had 23. I think they had 23 players on IR. I think they finished the season with 17, and at least 3 of them were starting cornerbacks, starting secondary. So with these guys coming back, and then adding a Kyle Hamilton, and then adding who may make an appearance this season, a David Ajabo, Patrick Queen, another season up ahead, Lamar Jackson back, their running backs back. If this team can stay healthy this season, they are going to be a problem for everyone in the NFL. Yes, we are sleeping on Lamar Jackson. People want to say all he was a runner. We forget that he led the league in passing touchdowns just 2 seasons ago. We forget that through 15 weeks in the season, he was taunting a 70% completion percentage. Like, this team is ready to perform. And if they can stay healthy, the AFC is going to be very, very tough when it's time to play the Baltimore Ravens. Now it just has to be shown in the playoffs.
That's where it starts for me, right? There's that health. That's the big question. I mean, they're healthy now. You get your running backs back. You get Lamar Jackson completely healthy. That's what you need for success. And top to bottom, this organization is so well run. You want to root for a team, you're starting off as a new NFL fan. If this is your first time watching anything football related, go be a fan of the Baltimore Ravens. I beg you. Because, I mean, this team just does everything top to bottom. I mean, they're well run in the front office. They have great ownership. The GM knows what he's doing. They have a great head coach. They win playoff games. They win regular season games. They've been to the Super Bowls. They won Super Bowls. This organization is just great. And I think right now you get Lamar Jackson back. You get everybody else on that team back. The trade of Hollywood Brown kind of scares me a little bit from an offensive perspective. Other than that, I think they're pretty solid. I do. I really like the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
So what you talk about with the trade of Hollywood Brown and the offense, I think they just got back to their roots. Like the NFL is becoming a passing league. We talked about it earlier. In the AFC, there are some receivers. There are some QBs. But Baltimore loves to run the ball. Baltimore has been stacked at the running position for a while now, and they do it quite well. I think that's why they went back to double tight end. I think that's why you saw them get a lot of these guys, because they didn't just get tight ends who can block so they can run. They also got some pass catchers as well as a tight end position. So I think they know what scheme they want to go into, and I think they did what they needed to get those pieces in place. Baltimore's going to be just fine.
AJ, does the AFC North end up running through Baltimore? Like, are they the top dogs, in your words?
Since you're asking me today, I'm going to say yes, because my storyline for the AFC North was, now that even though we knew Pittsburgh last year wasn't the best team, they still had that feel that they were running the AFC. You know what I mean? Like that Pittsburgh pride, so on and so forth, all that from the 20-plus years of AFC North. This is the first year where, even though we know Baltimore was a better team, they were beat up last year, that you kind of feel like the top dog spot is up for grabs. And you couldn't really just give it to Baltimore because of what Cincinnati did last year, and then because of what Cleveland went out and did this year. So I do think it's kind of wide open, but I think Baltimore is in a prime position to snatch that spot and sit at the top for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we had one of our storylines from last season was, when we talked about like the Ravens-Bengals game, is can the Bengals get out of the big brother part of like can the Bengals stop being the little brother to the Baltimore Ravens? Like that, that was the storyline that we had. And now I feel like it is disrespectful to say the Cincinnati Bengals are the little brother to the Baltimore Ravens, although they're right there. The age difference isn't that much. They might be twins, and one got out a little bit earlier. Yeah, like
the Bengals hit puberty and they got their growth spurt.
Yeah, like in my situation, I'm 5'6". My brother older than me is 5'3". So it's like, it's kind of like what it is, but he still runs shit because he's the older brother. But I'm bigger than him and might be able to. I'm not going to go that route. But like, it's one of those situations where like, the Cincinnati Bengals are right there with the Baltimore Ravens. And I don't know if I can necessarily say that the AFC North runs through Baltimore right now to give respect to Cincinnati, but it would not surprise me. January rolls around. We're priming up for the playoffs, and the Baltimore Ravens have taken full control over this AFC North.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been my theme all day.
There's no top dog. Remember from New Girl? I'm the top dog. Remember that reference there, AJ? Come on. Otherwise, I sound like a complete and utter idiot right now.
And I'm going to let you do that.
Darn it.
Idiot.
But there is no top dog. Honestly, there's no top dog. Maybe the Bengals are because they went to the AFC Championship, but I mean, it's tough. I think we all picked Baltimore. They're all our division winners, but
technically.
Yes, technically.
Oh yeah, they're all our division winners. Yep.
Yeah, and you said, "Oh, the Bengals, I think, could be the best team in the North." I don't know about the AFC.
No. Do not twist my words. Do not twist my words. I did not say. I said that they could be. I could see them being the best team in the AFC North. That's what I said because I think they could. Just like I think Baltimore could.
Yeah.
Just like I think Cleveland could. The only team that doesn't have a shot in hell of leading this AFC North is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And even that I feel bad saying because all hell could break loose. Lamar could get hurt. God forbid Lamar gets hurt. Joey B gets hurt. And then Baker Mayfield starts in Cleveland and Pittsburgh wins this division.
That's how the Jags won their division. Mariota got hurt. Deshaun Watson got hurt.
So anything after the season that we just went through where we were on that roller coaster, all season long, it could happen. It could happen.
Yeah, the NFL don't stop drinking. They got the biggest alcohol sponsor. It's going to be drunk again, bro. Like, you don't know what can happen in an 18-week NFL season. It's going to be nuts. And I think the Bengals have Bengals have just as good a chance as Baltimore does, for sure.
Agreed. That does it, though, for our AFC North coverage this evening. We broke it down schedule by schedule by schedule. These are our final standings. The Ravens take the number 1 spot, followed by the Cincinnati Bengals. And then it's actually all of us have the same order of first to last here in the AFC North, with the Steelers being last, the Ravens being first, and then everything in between. It is, like what AJ said, no pun intended, because this is the Browns division, but it'll be a dogfight, and there are a lot of divisions that are going to be dogfights. We are going to be covering all of the schedules and so much more in the coming days, in the coming weeks. You're not going to want to miss a single second of Sac City coverage. AJ, do the fans a favor and tell them where they can follow us at.
Hey, first and foremost, if y'all rocking with us this far through the show, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being at Sac City Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Look here, I'm about to head over to YouTube in just a couple seconds. I have better seen 400 subscribers.
Don't do it.
They man up in here. You better had hit that subscription button. You better had told somebody to come check out this idiot Dylan Kearns and then subscribe and then become a fan of Sac City. Even if you want to put the hate, we love the hate because we're going to prove y'all wrong again and again. Either way, head over to Sac City Pod, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, and tell somebody. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your cousin, tell your auntie, tell all of them about the Sac City Pod being the best damn NFL show on the interwebs.
Bingo.
Sac City Pod.
Bingo.
The boys are back in town.
Love it. And the biggest thing, if you have already subscribed, if you're watching right now and you're already subscribed to us, please do us a favor and share it. Share that link on your social media pages, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. Please do us a favor, big, solid favor, and share and tell the world about the Sac City Podcast. We'll be back again live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, right here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and of course, Belly Up Sports TV. For your boy AJ Johnson and for good old Dylan JB Skronet Kearns, I am me. We will see you Friday.
Peace out.
We were a much better team than we came up and represented ourselves. nom nom nom.